Hey guys, this is WWE superstar Charlotte Flair, and you're listening to WellsMania Podcast. Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 216 of WellsMania Podcast on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to WellsMania on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at WellsMania. Like me on Facebook at WellsMania, and I even do it for the Instagram at WellsMania. WellsMania Podcast, the most underrated wrestling podcast in the world. Thank you all so much for tuning in to episode 16 and Running Wild with me. And you're also running wild with my very special guest co-host. He is the executive producer of Wrestle With This. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Payne.
What is going on? It's always good to be back here in the WellsMania studio. This is going to be fun. It's SummerSlam weekend. The wrestling world is popping.
Poppin' is right. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy life to step in to mine. And without further ado, there is a hot topic, and I don't mean the store Hot Topic in the mall, which, by the way, I do love that store.
It's a fantastic store. I love it.
And not a sponsor either of the WellsMania podcast, but I'm going to give Hot Topic a hashtag cheap plug. I tweeted this at WellsMania. Shout out to Hot Topic for supporting my broski at Zack Ryder and at the Kurt Hawkins with the win or lose never defeated t-shirt in store. There I was, Payton. I was buying an office pop for my girlfriend and I's office collection, which is growing ever so quickly. There's so many office pops out there that are going to make me declare bankruptcy, but that's neither here nor there. I look up and I see a win or lose, never defeated Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins t-shirt, and I was just blown away because it's very rare that you see anything Zack Ryder or Kurt Hawkins in a store that's not a WWE store, and there it was. So I took a picture, I tweeted it, and it's got 25 hearts on Twitter. It's got 2 retweets on Twitter, but here's the kicker. Zack Ryder, the broski himself, quoted the tweet and said, wow. And that tweet has blown up with 133 hearts, 13 retweets. Now, here's the thing, Payton. If you see something on Twitter from the WellsMania account, don't be afraid to retweet it. Don't be afraid to heart it. Don't be afraid to embrace the entertaining content that comes from the WellsMania Twitter account. Okay, I can vent all day long, all show long, but I'm not going to do that. I'll save that for another episode of WellsMania. But the hot topic that I was referring to does not involve the Hot Topic store. It actually involves NXT superstar Matt Riddle. And Matt Riddle is no stranger to voicing what's on his mind. Payton, are you familiar with what I'm talking about here? At Super King of Bros on Twitter.
I am very familiar with what you were talking about, and I think you have some audio.
I do. I'm going to play this audio.
Clip.
It's not the entire 2 minutes of him ranting about old guys from WCW, but there was one WCW vet that Matt Riddle went after that really got my attention, and pardon the porn in the background.
Chris Jericho, you came at me. I don't know why you're saying listen and learn, kid. I'll beat the
Holy balls!
I don't understand that. I don't get it. You're soft as hell. Maybe back in your prime, but even then I would have beat the
Holy balls!
out of you then. So I listen and learn from me, bro. Shut your mouth.
All right, so let's dive into that 19 seconds right there. The holy balls, that's a legendary Mean Gene Okerlund, friend of WellsMania podcast, by the way.
Friend of Wrestle With This. He actually was on Wrestle With This with Megamondo.
I saw that. I love that, and God rest Mean Gene's soul. There will never be another Mean Gene Okerlund, but he'll always be remembered right here as the censor on WellsMania podcast because Matt Riddle dropped 2 S-bombs saying that he'll beat the holy balls out of Chris Jericho then, now, and forever. I mean, that's a pretty hot topic, bold take there by Matt Riddle, who hasn't really done anything in the WWE, let alone in NXT. I mean, the dude is really, really talking up a strong game, and he doesn't really have the resume to even come close to Chris Jericho. So when I heard this, I'm like, wow, bro, I get it. You're saying something that's, out there that gets people's attention.
What I want to know is, was something said by Jericho first? Because the way he's talking makes it seem as like he's responding to something.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, Chris Jericho was trying to give Matt Riddle some career advice, and Jericho pretty much just said, here's a little snippet from my book, and told Riddle to read it and listen and learn, kid. So that action from Jericho got Riddle to go on this little tangent, just calling out dudes from WCW. Quite frankly, if Chris Jericho's going to give me advice, I'm going to listen to it. I'm not going to reject it.
See, I'm torn here, because Jericho did make a comment about, he doesn't listen to minor league bros, and that is a total jab at NXT. And when it comes to that, I have to disagree. I mean, you're talking about a brand that sells out major arenas and gets more viewers sometimes than actual major WWE pay-per-view. So there's nothing minor league about NXT.
Well, I get where he's coming from. NXT is, if we're going like baseball terms here, WWE is the major league.
Yes. No, I agree with that.
NXT is the minor league, because this is where all the developmental
The same thing could be said about
wrestlers
AEW,
come
though.
through.
AEW has done nothing yet to make it major league.
Well, and here's the thing, though, about AEW, and I touched on this on episode 15 of WellsMania podcast when special guest co-host Brandon Jackson was on that podcast with me. I'm not the biggest fan of AEW, but I'm gonna give it a shot just because I love wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Did you watch any of the AEW pay-per-views?
No.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is, I watched a couple of them, and I got to be honest. So far, I mean, I'm like you. I was gonna give it a chance. I'm not impressed so far with it. To me, it almost felt like just a big budgeted independent show, and maybe it was the talent or the way they did it. I don't know, something about it didn't seem major league to me. And Chris Jericho, there's no doubt, is a major league star. He's one of the best that's ever been in the business, and I don't agree with Matt Riddle. He shouldn't be talking trash on guys like Goldberg and Chris Jericho, because to be honest, they've done nothing wrong to him, and they are, say what you want about in-ring ability, they are guys that built the foundation for why Matt Riddle is there.
I feel like it's really hard to tell nowadays whether something is real or if something is a work. Mm-hmm. And it's always kind of been like that. I mean, you think of the...
now more than ever.
Yeah, and you think of the Montreal Screwjob, which took place back in 97. To this very day, people are saying, oh, it was a work. No, that was real. So it's kind of fun, because you form your own opinion. So when I hear Matt Riddle taking shots at Goldberg, taking shots at Chris Jericho, I'm just like, bro, you're an idiot. Yeah. Like, you're a stupid idiot, as Chris Jericho would call him, because Goldberg is a WWE Hall of Famer. He's got one of the greatest runs in WCW history. I mean, he's arguably one of the most well-known wrestlers of all time.
Yeah.
And then you've got Chris Jericho, who, in my opinion, is the greatest intercontinental champion in WWE history. And he's the Ayatollah of rock and rolla, baby. I mean, Chris Jericho is a legend inside the ring and outside the ring with Fozzy, his band, which I saw in concert when they were here. Right here in Indianapolis. Great show, by the way. If Fozzy is ever in your town, I highly recommend you go check them out in concert. It is definitely worth the price of admission. But so this whole Matt Riddle calling out legends, I get where he's coming from, but at the same time, I'm like, bro, you're a nobody. You're a nobody.
I wouldn't say he's a nobody.
I mean, compared to Goldberg and Jericho, Matt Riddle is a nobody. Think about this. I'm going to lob this question at you, Payton. You go up to somebody and you say, out of these three guys, which one is not a professional wrestler? Goldberg, Chris Jericho, or Matt Riddle? They're going to say Matt Riddle because they don't know who he is.
No, if you're talking about the average person. In the wrestling world, I don't think Matt Riddle's a nobody. I mean, the guy has, performed in front of big crowds at NXT TakeOver events and stuff like that. So he does have, and he's very talented. I completely agree with you. I think he's doing the totally wrong thing, and I think he's going to garner a lot of heat from people that really respect those legends, and I don't think he's making the right choice.
This is a great way to get heat on you, and you got it, bro. Bro, here is my advice to Matt Riddle.
Shut your mouth.
There you go. By the way, happy Y2J Day. Chris Jericho made his WWE debut 20 years ago on this day, baby! And we'll be right back after this word from WWT superstar Megamondo. This is Megamondo. And mark your calendars, August 17th, 2017. At the Christian Park Gym on English Avenue, Indianapolis, Indiana. Megamondo will be in a 3-on-1 handicap match at Upstart Pro Wrestling Retaliation. Be sure to go on Facebook, Upstart Pro Wrestling, and follow them on Twitter at Upstart Pro. Come out and watch Megamondo be too damn mega!
Like Tarzan boy, hide and seek, I plan over, I should cross the forest, monkey business on a sunny afternoon.
I will definitely be at that Upstart Pro Wrestling show, and I hope you will be there as well. Now, this next segment, I tweeted this on my WellsMania Twitter account, at WellsMania. Hit that follow button. Shoot us some questions, and we'll answer them on this episode. Well, only 3 of you did that, and I want to say thank you to Chris Haggerty, Jake Sinholz, and Serious Dude Mike James. So, Payton, without further ado, here are the questions. And by the way, Chris Haggerty submitted about 100 questions. We don't have the time to answer them all, so we're going to do our best to get to our very best ones. So here is the very first one, and it is addressed to you, Payton. Have you ever had a mark-out moment? If so, what was it?
Many mark-out moments. I mean, I think every wrestling fan at some point has had a mark-out moment. I mean, if you're a true wrestling fan, you have them all the time.
Oh, yeah, and I'll tell you what mine was before you tell me what yours is.
Now, this is your ultimate.
This is my all-time mark-out moment. It took place at the Royal Rumble 2008, Madison Square Garden. John Cena returned after being sidelined with an injury, and the look on Triple H's face, I tell you what, no one saw that return coming. When those doors opened, and there's John Cena with his head down, his hands, kind of down by his crotch area, and then he looks up and has that smirk on his face. That was my all-time mark-out moment. JD Roach, my roommate at the time up at Ball State, he's a listener of the WellsMania podcast. He was there, as well as the WWE Human Encyclopedia, Jared Giles. They were both there to witness this mark-out moment, and they were both there to witness WellsMania absolutely lose my mind. And those 2 guys were also with me. Here's another mark-out moment that I had. WrestleMania 23 up at Ford Field, Detroit, Michigan. John Cena, like I said, I'm a big John Cena fan. I used to cosplay as John Cena. I had the spinner belt with me in Ford Field. I was the only John Cena fan in my section. I was getting booed and harassed all day long, all show long. And then John Cena defeated Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid. I stood up on my seat, I threw my spinner belt above my head, and I yelled, "The champ is here!" as confetti was just flying down all over me. Payton, it was one of the greatest moments of my wrestling fandom. Everybody was cheering for me after that match. It was incredible. That's another mark-out moment of mine. What are your mark-out moments?
Mine would have to be, the first one that pops into my head would be from an event that I was at live. And that event would be WrestleMania 28 in Miami, Florida.
I was there too.
It was an unforgettable event. And that moment was when The Rock pinned John Cena in the middle of the ring.
Oh, man.
In the once-in-a-lifetime main event. And as a person who absolutely despises John Cena, that...
How dare you? On this podcast, of all podcasts, to say that on.
I'm sure there's a lot of viewers that have the same opinion as me. But no, that moment was just unbelievable. Even if you weren't a Rock fan, no matter who you were rooting for there, I think no matter what the case, you were going to have a mark-out moment at some point during that whole match.
Yeah, and I was at WrestleMania 27 the year before.
As was I.
In Atlanta, and when they announced the following night on Monday Night Raw that The Rock versus John Cena, once in a lifetime, will take place at WrestleMania 28 in Miami. I
immediately had to buy tickets.
Same here. And I dressed up, as I used to back in the day, in full John Cena getup. Whatever his shirt was at the time, I was wearing it. Same with the hat, double wristbands, the jorts, the shoes. Man, I tried to look like John Cena to a T.
I'm going to throw one more out there because this one has a special place in my heart. 2012 Slammy Awards, Monday Night Raw. The night that possibly my favorite of all time, the Big Red Machine Kane, returned with the mask.
You're a huge Kane fan.
I am a huge Kane fan. And then he returned with that mask. I was freaking out.
Yeah. Returns are always a good mark-out moment, especially when you haven't seen a certain wrestler for some time. Always gets a good pop. Next question here. Payton, this one's addressed to you. What are your thoughts on WellsMania as a commentator after the last WWT showcase, which, by the way, I had a blast with Dodge Obencrust calling that tag team match. How well do you think I did, or was I awful and I'll never be invited to come back and commentate another match in WWT history?
I thought you did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you. I thought I did a good job, too.
I mean, if you'd asked Dodge, he would probably disagree, but Dodge really doesn't like anybody other than himself.
Right, and I feel like I may have stole a little bit of the spotlight from Dodge, too.
Well, I mean, let's be fair. Dodge's career was on the line, so in his mind, him saving his career, that was the biggest spotlight of his life.
True.
No, but I thought you did a great job. I think a lot of people would look forward to having you back. I think Don Donaldson would enjoy doing commentary with you.
I look forward to making my return for the Hope on a Pole match between Tim McLaw and Istvan Gustafsson.
Yes, which, by the way, there is a rumor going around that Tim McLaw is flying back into Smash Mouth this weekend.
I love that. Tim McLaw is one of my favorite characters in WWT. I see Tim McLaw when he's in town because he works out at the same gym that we work out at. And I tell you what, man, that dude, he is one jacked guy. I got to say, for somebody his age, he's still in great shape, and I love seeing Tim McLaw get in and out of the ring, entertaining his fans. Payton, out of everyone on the Smash Mouth WWT Wrestle With This roster, who is the best wrestler? That's a good question.
That is a great question and a tough question. To me, I've always kind of looked at, like, there's different categories of being the best. They're right. Like, there's technically, like, the best technical wrestler on the roster.
Sure.
It's hard to. I would have to go with probably Ravishing Anton.
Don't tell him that. He'll go straight to his ego.
Well, he is the Continental Champion, and he is very good technically in the ring.
Right.
The best on the brand. How do you go? I mean, I know everyone's going to have their different opinion, but at the end of the day, Stone Payne is the WWT World Champion, and he has not been beaten yet. So I have to go with Stone Payne.
I was going to say, as much as I hate to admit this, Stone Payne, the facts speak for themselves. I mean, the dude has not lost. And usually if you're the best, it means you haven't lost. So as of right now, where we're at in the Wrestle With This universe, I would agree. I think Stone Payne is the best wrestler. I'm very biased. I love Mega Mondo. But if I'm going to set my bias aside, Stone Payne takes that title. No pun intended. The next question is for me. Who's better on-air personality, you or Dick Williams? Well, I've already made that perfectly clear that it's yours truly, WellsMania. I am the better on-air personality than Dick Williams. WellsMania. When will Justin Kyle be on an episode of WellsMania, the most underrated wrestling podcast in all of existence? It's a great question. I've reached out to Justin Kyle numerous times to get him on the episode, and that dude is very busy.
Take it from me as being the executive producer of Wrestle With This. Justin Kyle is a very difficult man to get a hold of.
He is. But Justin Kyle, if you are listening, at Kill Justin Kyle on Twitter, I would love for you to come on a future episode of WellsMania. The mic is always on for you. WellsMania, can you cut a full promo doing a Macho Man Randy Savage impression? Hold on a second.
What are you going to talk about, though?
Well, give me a topic. What do you want me to talk about?
Any topic?
As Macho Man.
Or wrestling related?
Anything.
Okay. You have a thing with Taco Bell. Do a taco promo.
Ooh, yeah. Taco Bell. Yeah, dig it. Elizabeth and I go inside the Taco Bell. I look up at the menu and I see a quesadilla. And then I get a Doritos Locos Taco. Because the sour cream always rises to the top, yeah. Dig it. Snap it to a taco.
I was hoping you were going to say that at the end.
Man, that hurts my voice.
It's a tough impression to do.
And if you watch Dark Side of the Ring, that awesome documentary series
Fantastic.
on Vice, you watch the Macho Man episode, and Lanny Poffo, Macho Man's brother, the genius, got asked, was that Randy's real voice? Yeah, it was.
It was, yes.
And I'm just like, wow. I mean, when you hear wrestlers talk, Macho Man has one of the best voices.
Oh, without question.
Pure voices in wrestling history. I'd put Macho Man up there. You got Mega Mondo is up there.
Hogan.
Hulk Hogan's up there. The Ultimate Warrior's up there. Just voices in general. Just the way that they sound. When you hear them speak,
they've got that voice that just vibrates your ribs.
Yeah, man. I'm having a hard time right now. We're just getting started right here on episode 16 of WellsMania podcast. After doing that Macho Man impression, I hope that I'll be able to make it to the end of this episode. WellsMania, what's a more devastating maneuver? Justin Kyle's spear or Mega Mondo's Mondo block? The Mondo block, man.
See, now that's an interesting question.
I'm telling you, Justin Kyle, don't get me wrong. He's a very big, physical, strong dude who means business. And, man, I don't want to be on the other end of a spear.
Yeah.
But then again, Mega Mondo is more mega than Justin Kyle. And when you get hit with that Mondo block, you don't know where you're going to land. You don't know where you're going to end up.
They're both devastating maneuvers. I'll just, I'm around them both a lot, so I can't answer because I don't want to actually get hit with one.
Chris Haggerty, thank you so much for all the questions. At CM Haggerty on Twitter. That was a lot.
Was there anybody else that asked anything?
Yes, finally. We've got one from Jake Sinholes. That is at Sinholes on Sport on Twitter. Follow him. Jake says, since we've recently seen some older and classic finishing maneuvers come back into action, such as the Stunner, Kevin Owens, and the Mandible Claw, the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, what are some other moves that you would like to see brought back? That's a really good question.
That is a really good question. The problem with that question is a lot of older moves have just kind of turned into normal moves now.
Right, but I'm thinking like, here, for example, and you'll love this one, the Tombstone Pile Driver. I would love to see Aleister Black
someone new
incorporate that. Black Mass that he does right now is fantastic, but if they were to give Aleister Black the Tombstone Pile Driver, oh my God, that would be awesome.
I don't know if the Tombstone, I would love to see someone else use the Tombstone. The problem is the Tombstone is iconic for two individuals, and I don't think they'll ever try to take that away from them.
Yeah. Now, another one, I'm a big fan of the Ultimate Warrior. So the Gorilla Press Slam, I would love to see someone use that in modern day. I'm trying to think like who it would suit the best. Mega Mondo in Wrestle With This. I'd love to see him incorporate the Gorilla Press Slam that the Ultimate Warrior did. So hopefully, if we're going all wrestling all across the board, I'd love to see that maneuver come back for Mega Mondo. Are there any others before we move on to another question?
there's so many. God, I'd kind of like to see. I know he's still around and wrestles, but I'd like to see maybe someone else maybe do the pedigree. I know Seth Rollins did it there for a little bit.
Yeah. Why is WellsMania so underrated? Payton, what's your favorite podcast? Well, I'll tell you why WellsMania is so underrated. Because nobody listens to my podcast. And I've got the most entertaining material, the best wrestling content out there, but you wouldn't know because you don't listen to my show, and that makes me the most underrated wrestling podcast in the world. Payton, what's your favorite podcast besides WellsMania?
Just wrestling related?
All across the grid.
I listen to a couple. I'm a fan of the Jim Cornette Experience.
He's a heel. Something to wrestle with.
I don't listen to that, no.
Bruce Pritchard, I like that one.
I really don't listen to a lot of wrestling podcasts. I mean, I spend so much time in the wrestling world that I try not to, take the free time that I do have and listen to wrestling podcasts. So I try to go off, I listen to some other stuff but that are not wrestling related.
And that's going to wrap up the hashtag Ask WellsMania segment right here on episode 16 of WellsMania Podcast. So thank you to Chris Haggerty, Jake Sinholz, and Serious Dude Mike James. The only 3 people that participated. I've got over 900 followers. I don't know, Payton. I just don't know. You see it. You see my tweets. I'm not shy when it comes to Twitter. I love to tweet a lot at WellsMania. So if you want to ask me questions, hashtag Ask WellsMania. I'll mention you on the show. Hopefully you'll get more followers. And hopefully you're following me and you tell all your wrestling friends to follow at WellsMania. All right. Moving on, I tweeted this, and I'm really excited to break this down. Payton, are you ready? Recording episode 16 of WellsMania Podcast, and I have fantasy rebooked WrestleMania VIII, and all the nostalgia has hit me. I can't wait to share it with you. The new card. Welcome to Indianapolis, Indiana. Welcome to the Hoosier Dome. Welcome to WrestleMania VIII. I was there at the Hoosier Dome. I was 5 years old with my nana and my dad. They took me. I was a little Hulkamaniac wearing my Hulk Hogan t-shirt. I had my Hulk Hogan action figure, the Hasbro, in my hand, and I marked out. Little 5-year-old WellsMania was running wild at the Hoosier Dome, baby. WrestleMania has not been back since, and I'm a big advocate to get WrestleMania back here to Indy, especially now with Lucas Oil Stadium, which is one of the best sports entertainment venues on the planet. I got something very special to play for you right now before we dive in to the rebooking of WrestleMania VIII. The World Wrestling Federation proudly presents WrestleMania. The maniacal Sid Justice goes one-on-one with the Ultimate Warrior. Champion Ric Flair defends the title against the #1 contender, the Immortal Hulk Hogan, in what could prove to be Hulk Hogan's farewell match. It's a double main event. It's WrestleMania.
Welcome to Indianapolis, Indiana. Welcome to the Hoosier Dome. Welcome to WrestleMania 8.
Goosebumps.
Payton, it doesn't get any better than Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan on commentary. I have mega goosebumps just listening to that. And I foreshadowed in the intro there, you heard Vince McMahon. He rebooked the double main event.
Wait. Does this mean this is finally the return of what I think it is? Can I say it?
Go for it.
Book it!
Yes. For those of you out there who are not familiar with Book It, Payton and I on the Wrestle With This podcast actually did a pilot episode of Book It on YouTube.
We did.
About Ronda Rousey. And this was before Ronda Rousey went on her run in the WWE.
And our version was better.
Our version was better. And there were a couple things that actually lined up with how he booked Ronda Rousey, but there were a lot of things that surprised both of us. But here we are. And you've got the actual WrestleMania 8 card in front of you. So here's what we're going to do. For all of you out there listening, Payton is going to read the card that happened back in 1992. And then I am going to go and tell you how I would rebook the show. And Payton will weigh in with his opinions, and he'll agree with me or disagree with me. So Payton, without further ado, from top to bottom, read the WrestleMania 8 card as it happened back in 1992.
All right. Let's book it.
Book it.
So we start the show off, with Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, with Sensational Sherry, and he defeated Tito Santana in a one-on-one match.
And of course, who could forget that country music mega superstar Reba McEntire sang her rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. And of course, Bobby the Brain Heenan on commentary said that Reba McEntire was Tito Santana's cousin. And Gorilla Monsoon was like, cousin? And Bobby Heenan's like, yeah, Reba McEntire. Oh, classic. Go ahead with the next match.
The next match on the card, Jake the Snake Roberts, one-on-one with the Phenom, The Undertaker, with Paul Bearer.
This was at the very beginning of The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. I believe this was his second WrestleMania victory over Jake the Snake. What was the next match?
Next, you have possibly, in my opinion, the best match on the entire card if you've ever seen this WrestleMania. Bret the Hitman Hart versus Roddy Piper in a singles match for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, and you know what, Payton, I'm going to spoil everybody. This is the only match on the 1992 show that I kept the same. I did not change this one. I still have Bret the Hitman Hart defeating Rowdy Roddy Piper to become the new Intercontinental Champion. Like you said, that is arguably the best match on the 1992 show. I'm not changing that one, man.
I wouldn't. It's too perfect. So next you have the Big Boss Man, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Sergeant Slaughter, and Virgil defeating the Mountie, the Nasty Boys, and the Repo Man, along with Jimmy Hart.
Yeah.
In an 8-man tag team.
I get it. Just throw a bunch of guys on the card, and then there you go.
That's the WrestleMania way.
What's the next match?
Next, you got Randy Savage with Miss Elizabeth versus...
Oh, yeah. Dig it.
Ric Flair with Mr. Perfect for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship.
Yes, and this was a part of the double main event that Randy Macho Man Savage won, defeating Ric Flair, which I have changed that, and you'll hear what I've changed it to. What's the next match?
Next, this one probably holds a special place in your heart, being it who it is. You have Tatanka defeating Rick Martel.
I love Tatanka, and he's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. When I got to meet Tatanka, I told him, big fan as a kid. This means everything to me to finally meet you. And you were robbed at WrestleMania 9 when you defeated Shawn Michaels, but it was by countout when you should have won straight up clean, becoming the new Intercontinental Champion. And by the way, if we ever do a fantasy rebook of WrestleMania 9 that took place in Caesar's Palace, Las Vegas, Nevada, that is exactly the match that I would book. Tatanka defeats Shawn Michaels straight up clean to become the new Intercontinental Champion. Tatanka should have won the title back at WrestleMania 9. What's the next match?
The Natural Disasters, Earthquake, and Typhoon versus Money Inc. for the Tag Team Championships.
Everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man. All right, what's the next match? That wasn't a very good match, by the way.
No, it was not.
It was awful.
It was not. Next, you got Skinner versus Owen Hart.
Such a random match. And by the way, I've done a lot of research on WrestleMania 8. I can't believe that the British Bulldog versus Berserker match that was supposed to happen got bumped, and Owen Hart versus Skinner made the card. Are you serious, bro? Come on, Vince. Good.
Holy balls!
Ha ha!
Holy balls!
Pal.
Yeah, I often wonder what they're thinking when sometimes they book these WrestleManias. Some matches just don't deserve to be on the card. But the main event, which I don't think deserved to be on this card. I think it should have been something else, and we'll get into that in a second. Hulk Hogan,
Brother,
versus Sid Justice with Harvey Whippleman.
Harvey Whippleman.
In a singles
Harvey
match.
Whippleman.
Just think about this for a second. The main event of WrestleMania ended by disqualification.
Man, I tell you what. So you got Hulk Hogan. No one knew what was going to happen, if he was going to leave the company, if he was going to stay. So Vince McMahon was protecting by having him go up against Sid Justice. Was a big deal back in the day. I mean, he was a big draw. It was a big draw. Hulk Hogan versus Sid Justice. And if you remember at the 1992 Royal Rumble, Hulk Hogan helped Ric Flair eliminate Sid Justice. Ric Flair won the WWF title heading in to WrestleMania VIII as the champion. Now, there were rumors and innuendos that it was going to be Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair, but it didn't happen. Flair took on Macho Man. Sid took on Hogan. Papa Shango missed his mark. I mean, come on. What are you doing back there, Papa Shango? He missed his mark. Go back and watch. It's blatantly obvious that he missed his mark. And then just the match was awful. Ultimate Warrior comes out, kind of saves the day, making his return, helping Hulk Hogan fend off Papa Shango and Sid Justice. Now, this is how I have rebooked WrestleMania VIII. Are you ready, Payton?
I'm ready to book it.
All right, here it is. So WrestleMania VIII, I start the show off with the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, taking on Marty Jannetty. These two have broken up from the Rockers. Shout out to the barbershop window. Marty Jannetty is still in the company. He's healthy. He's going to get revenge on Shawn Michaels for throwing him through the barbershop window. This feud has been brewing. It's finally going to take place at WrestleMania. Shawn Michaels defeats Marty Jannetty, ending that feud once and for all. Shawn Michaels opening WrestleMania as the Heartbreak Kid, and this is the beginning of the Heartbreak Kid and what we know now as Mr. WrestleMania.
It's a fantastic opening, and I completely agree with it. I think that match should have been on WrestleMania. I mean, let's face it, some of the best storylines in pro wrestling history are when two best friends turn on each other.
I agree.
That is a tale that can be told 1,000 times and it will never grow old. And, that's one of the first ones that I think ever happened in that type of storyline.
And the fact that the barbershop window still gets mentioned to this day has left a legacy in its own. The next match I have is the Legion of Doom. What a rush. Hawk and Animal versus the Natural Disasters, Earthquake and Typhoon. Now, the Legion of Doom made a promo with friend of the podcast, Mean Gene Okerlund, at WrestleMania VIII. They did not wrestle, but they were there. In my rebook, I do have the Legion of Doom wrestling, and I have them getting revenge because they lost via countout at the 1992 Royal Rumble against the Natural Disasters. But here at WrestleMania VIII in the rebook, I have Animal and Hawk going over Earthquake and Typhoon.
I think the storyline of this should be, can the Legion of Doom defeat the Natural Disasters? And I think that should be the story of this match.
Yeah. And getting either Earthquake or Typhoon up on their shoulders for
that's a WrestleMania moment.
For their finishing maneuver. Oh, yeah. Big time WrestleMania moment. So that's kind of why I would love to see Legion of Doom defeat the Natural Disasters. The next match I have is a match that you're going to love. Oh, yes! The Undertaker versus Papa Shango. I mean, this one, Papa Shango would not miss his mark. He'd bring all of his voodoo, cutting all these voodoo promos, trying to get in the dead man's head. The Undertaker's raw. The Undertaker's still that mystique, Mystery doesn't really talk a lot. Paul Bear does all the talking. You got the urn. You got the ashes. Papa Shango versus The Undertaker would have been a awesome WrestleMania match. And of course, I have The Undertaker defeating Papa Shango, going 2-0 at WrestleMania.
See, now this one might be a little controversial for some people because I know a lot of people loved that rivalry between The Undertaker and Jake the Snake Roberts, and it was fantastic. And that match was great. You know, when Jake the Snake hit The Undertaker with the DDT on the outside and then hit it again in the ring, and it still wasn't enough to put The Undertaker down. That's an iconic moment. And for this to work, which by the way, I love it. I do think this would be a fantastic match and fantastic storyline. Papa Shango up to this point has got to be booked like a true phenom, like a rival to The Undertaker. And if it's booked that way leading up to this, then this match could have been legendary.
I'm telling you though, Papa Shango, Voodoo, The Undertaker, Funeral, Dead Man, Coffins. This could have been a casket match.
Yeah, no, it would have worked perfectly.
The next match I have is the one that I would never change. Bret the Hitman Hart defeats WWF Intercontinental Champion Rowdy Roddy Piper to become the new Intercontinental Champion. This match was unbelievable. It was the show stealer, the best match on the card, and it probably would still hold up to this day if we rebooked it. Still would be the show stealer. Bret Hart and Roddy Piper, the chemistry that these two had, the story that they told inside the ring, it was great. The respect that they both showed at the end of the match was awesome.
Probably the best match that Rowdy Roddy Piper ever had in his WWE career.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the match is what this WrestleMania is known for, you know, and I don't think there's anything about this you should change at all.
Yep, and the next match I have is Macho Man, ooh yeah, Randy Savage with Miss Elizabeth versus Jake the Snake Roberts. This feud was hot. When I was a kid, I was terrified of Jake the Snake Roberts. And when I met Jake the Snake Roberts a couple months back, I'm still terrified of the man. You know, he's still got that evil vibe to him. Nice guy, great to talk to, but still has that, lives up to it. He's got that snake-like personality. I got Randy Savage defeating Jake the Snake Roberts in this match.
See, now I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there. I think this should be no disqualification.
Okay.
I think if you're going to have some type of hardcore style match, this is the one to do it. I mean, you're talking about earlier in this storyline, if we all remember, Jake the Snake Roberts tried to hit Elizabeth in the head with a steel chair when they came through the curtain to go into the back. And that's where The Undertaker saved them and started the Undertaker feud. Imagine if you were to take Undertaker out of that situation and Jake the Snake was actually able to hit Elizabeth in the face with a steel chair, and that was what launched the WrestleMania match, and this was no DQ. It screams money.
Yeah, I mean, you can go that route too. I mean, that's a money maker, good ratings, entertainment, great story being told. I could see that happening too. The next match that I have is kind of like you're thrown together, just get all the guys that don't have anything to do, a 20-man battle royal, and I'm going to list off the participants. We've got Berserker, Virgil, Tito Santana, Big Boss Man, Skinner, Repo Man, Bushwhacker Luke, Bushwhacker Butch, Bo Beverly, Blake Beverly, The Mountie, Sergeant Slaughter, Jim Duggan, British Bulldog, Owen Hart, Texas Tornado, Rick Martel, Barry Horowitz, Brooklyn Brawler, and Nails.
I mean, it's not WrestleMania without a battle royal.
Right, and the winner of this battle royal would come down to family. Owen Hart, the Rocket Owen Hart, and the British Bulldog. And the British Bulldog eliminates Owen Hart to win this battle royal, giving him a push because later on he wins the IC title at the 1992 SummerSlam against his brother-in-law. That's what I'd have happen here is British Bulldog gets the win in this 20-man battle royal.
Yeah, I wouldn't change a thing.
The next match is a tag team match. Tag team champs. Money Incorporated, the $1 Million Man, and Erwin R. Shyster defeating the Nasty Boys to retain the tag team titles.
Pretty simple. I mean, you know, the Nasty Boys, I don't think were ever designed to be tag team champions, so this would be, you know, a good match for Money Inc. to retain.
The next match I have is the Ultimate Warrior versus Sid Justice. And of course, I've got the Ultimate Warrior defeating Sid Justice. You heard in the promo leading into this segment, I teased this one. The maniacal Sid Justice, big draw, big deal, but gets gorilla press slammed and loses to the Ultimate Warrior. A returning Ultimate Warrior, by the way. People didn't know if he was going to show up for this match or not. He did. He showed up. He ran. The music hit. He comes in, does his thing, and beats Sid Justice.
Perfect.
I'm glad you said that. The next match I have is Tatanka versus Mr. Perfect. I got Tatanka going over, defeating Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect is the perfect opponent to get Tatanka on this undefeated streak that he goes on for the next year, ultimately winning the IC title at WrestleMania 9, defeating Shawn Michaels. That takes us to the main event, the Nature Boy. Woo! Ric Flair, which, by the way, he will be in Indianapolis for Indiana Comic-Con later this month. I'm going to woo with him. I'm going to style and profile with him. The Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Woo! Puts that WWF title on the line against the immortal Hulk Hogan. This should have been, I don't care if they weren't drawing at house shows. I don't care if you thought Flair wouldn't drop the title. I don't care if you thought Hulk Hogan was leaving. You had this moment. You should have just went with it, Vince. Ric Flair, I don't care if people didn't know who Ric Flair was. Everybody knew who Hulk Hogan was. Everybody knew that Ric Flair was the dirtiest player in the game. You get Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan, and you have Hulk Hogan defeat Ric Flair with a big boot and a leg drop, and he's holding the WWF title. Hulkamania is running wild in the Hoosier Dome. Hulkamania is running wild in the Hoosier Dome. Brother, he's got that Winged Eagle title. Gorilla Monsoon is praising it. Bobby Heenan's crying. It should have happened. It would have blown the dome off the Hoosier Dome. Payton, my goodness, that is how you end WrestleMania 8. With Hulkamania running wild, brother.
I completely agree. This match 100% should have happened. It's a disaster that it didn't happen. How do you not have Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair as your main event of WrestleMania? The match sells itself, and having Hogan go over, I know there's people that probably would disagree with that. I think Hogan should have gone over. I don't think Flair needed that victory.
Right, and it would have been a great way to just end it clean. Instead of the botched finish that we had at WrestleMania 8 back in 1992, this is how the show should have ended.
I mean, imagine Hulk Hogan hulking up while locked in the figure 4 leg lock.
Oh my gosh, the visual right now is giving me goosebumps. And then he hulks up, gets out of it. Ric Flair's down on his knees begging, no. Gets hit with a big boot and then gets hit with a leg drop. 1, 2, 3. Hulk Hogan wins. Real American blasting in front of the 62,000 plus people packed inside the Hoosier Dome. I was there. I was a little Hulkamaniac. I was running wild. I was cheering on for Hulk Hogan. To this very day, I'm still a Hulkamaniac. I always will be, then, now, and for life. Hey, tweet at WellsMania. Let me know what you think about my WrestleMania 8 fantasy rebooking. Let me know if you agree with the matches. Let me know if you disagree with the matches. Let me know what you would do. Tweet at WellsMania. WrestleMania 8 will always hold a very special place in my heart. Hashtag bring Mania back to Indy. This, the official theme song for NXT TakeOver Toronto. This Saturday, live at the Scotiabank Arena. Payton, I know you're a huge NXT TakeOver fan.
Massive fan.
This is the official theme song. It's called Unsainted by Slipknot. I'm going to fade out of it so I don't get copyright infringement. So here's the card. We're going to run through it rapid fire real quick right now. I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way to the top. We got a singles match. Candice LeRae versus Io Shirai. Who do you like in this one?
This should be a great match, but I think the winner here is pretty obvious. I think Io Shirai is going to decimate Candice LeRae.
I agree, and I really love the attitude adjustment that Io Shirai has. She's a lot more tougher than she was before. I think she gets the win as well. This one, the NXT Women's title on the line. The champion is Shayna Baszler, and she's going up against Mia Yim.
Baszler retains.
You know what? I disagree. I'm going with Mia Yim. Eventually, Shayna Baszler is going to fall, and I think she falls to Mia Yim. I think Mia Yim, who also has been very aggressive on her pursuit to become the new NXT Women's Champion, I think she gets the job done. I think she defeats Shayna Baszler.
I've been saying Baszler's going to drop it for the past like 8 takeovers, and I've learned that that's just not going to happen. So as much as I would like to say Mia Yim, I think Baszler keeps it.
The next match is a triple threat, and it's for the North American Championship. The champion is Velveteen Dream.
Dream.
And he's going up against Pete Dunne and Roddy Strong. I like Velveteen Dream to retain the NXT North American title.
I mean, how do you not love the Velveteen Dream?
Velveteen Dream.
You know, but as much as I love him, there's just an image in my head that I think will end this takeover, and I'm going to wait till we get to the main event to say that, but I'm going to go ahead and say that somehow, some way, Roderick Strong walks out as North American champion.
Wow, okay. The NXT tag team titles are on the line. The champions are the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. I absolutely love the Street Profits. They are gold. They have been money with their promos. However, I think their run as NXT tag team champs is coming to an end. The Undisputed Era shock the system. Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish will defeat the Street Profits to become the new NXT Tag Team Champs. Do you agree or disagree with me?
I agree with you. I think that Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly are going to walk out the champions, and I think the Street Profits' appearances on Raw kind of spoil that, unfortunately.
Yeah. This takes us to the main event. It is a 2 out of 3 falls match. At least that's what they're calling it.
No. Correction.
They, pronouns, pal. This is what they're Triple H is calling it because he can't call it
3 stages of hell, which is what it is, and every wrestling fan knows that's what it is.
Oh, absolutely. And this is for the NXT title. The champ is Adam Cole, baby, versus Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Gargano.
Johnny Takeover.
Johnny not going to win in Toronto is what's happening here. Adam Cole, baby, retains the NXT title, which, Payton, that means that the Undisputed Era holds all of the gold, setting up what I think might happen on the main roster, the Undisputed Era versus either the New Day or the OC. I think that we're heading down that road, possibly at Survivor Series. That's what I'm seeing possibly happening. I know I'm getting way ahead of myself, but it all starts right here, Toronto.
First of all,
for NXT TakeOver.
I do think I'm a big Gargano fan, but I do think that Adam Cole is walking out the champion because it's almost a given. I think the final shot of TakeOver Toronto will be the Undisputed Era holding all of the NXT gold. It's just going to happen.
Yeah, and that's a pretty cool way to end the show.
But this is all leading to one thing. And I think this has been the plan ever since Adam Cole won the title. It's going to happen. I don't know when. I don't know where. But Adam Cole eventually is going to drop that title to a returning Tommaso Ciampa.
Yeah, I think that is inevitable. Whenever he does come back, Ciampa's going to retain that title and be the champ again.
In the summertime.
It is summertime, and that means SummerSlam. It's happening this Sunday, live at the Scotia Bank Arena in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Shout out to all my Wells Maniacs running wild north of the border in Canada. Toronto, home of the NBA champions. Congratulations to your Toronto Raptors. Welcome to Jurassic Park. NXT TakeOver, we just broke down that, which is also taking place in Toronto. Now it's time for Payton Payne to break down SummerSlam. You're listening to episode 16 of WellsMania podcast, and I'm going to go ahead and fade out the Black Keys Go, which is the official theme song for SummerSlam. I don't want to get copyright infringement tagged on WellsMania podcast. It's probably too late because I think I let it go past the 15 seconds that I'm allowed. Payton Payne, are you ready to break down the SummerSlam card?
I am ready.
All right. Without further ado, I'm going to start from the bottom and work our way to the top. Started from the bottom, now we're here. That's a cheap Toronto Drake plug right there. Thank you. I'll be here all night. Cut it out. Tip your waiter. Try the veal. All right, I'll show myself the exit. The Cruiserweight title is on the line, and the champ is Drew Gulak, and he's going up against Oney Lorcan out of nowhere.
Yeah, well, Lorcan he works both 205 Live and NXT. So
Yeah, I was not. We didn't know who Drew Gulak's opponent was going to be, and it's Lorcan, which is a surprise. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pick Lorcan. Lorcan is going to defeat Drew Gulak to become the new Cruiserweight champion.
I disagree. I don't think they're going to give the title to Lorcan simply because it would be weird that Lorcan be the 205 Live or Cruiserweight champion and also be a part of the Brit Am Brawlers on NXT. So I think Gulak retains.
The next match is a singles match, and this is a dream match of mine. My all-time favorite women's wrestler, Trish Stratus, coming out of retirement to take on the Queen, Charlotte Flair, friend of the WellsMania podcast. You heard her at the very beginning, welcoming you all to the WellsMania podcast. But as much as I want to pick Trish to win, this is a passing of the torch moment. Charlotte Flair will defeat Trish Stratus, proving that she is the queen of all eras. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, I would love to pick Trish, but unfortunately, I think Charlotte is gonna get the V here.
Woo! Charlotte Flair, friend of the WellsMania podcast, victorious over the greatest women's wrestler of all time, Trish Stratus. I said it. We got another legend making an appearance, taking on...
Out of nowhere.
Yeah. Really was, because this match originally was supposed to be Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz. But, Dolph Ziggler hit Shawn Michaels with the Sweet Chin music. We all know Shawn Michaels isn't going to be taking on Dolph Ziggler, which would be an amazing match in itself, but Shawn probably will never step back inside the squared circle to wrestle. So, insert another legend, Bill Goldberg. Goldberg versus Dolph Ziggler. I've got Goldberg beating Dolph Ziggler because of my speculations from the very beginning of the episode. I think we're going to get Goldberg versus Matt Riddle. I think it's going to happen. And the only way for that to happen is if Goldberg defeats Dolph Ziggler and that momentum carries him in to that match against Matt Riddle.
I don't think we are going to get Goldberg versus Matt Riddle.
I'm fantasy booking again, okay?
But nonetheless, I do think Goldberg is going to absolutely smash Dolph Ziggler here. I think this match won't even last a couple minutes.
Yeah, if it lasts longer than 2 minutes, I'll be very surprised, but you best believe that Dolph Ziggler will sell his ass off for Goldberg, and I can't wait to see how he takes that spear. It's going to be worse than that alien that took that spear from Justin Kyle.
That alien is dead.
Yeah, that alien is dead, and if you are any other aliens in Area 51, you better fly back to wherever you came from because Justin Kyle is coming for you.
Well, he's leading the charge of Kyles into Area 51. He announced that.
I'll be there. I'm a Kyle. Kyle WellsMania. I'm there. The next match is for the United States title. The champion, the phenomenal AJ Styles going up against, speaking of aliens, Ricochet. Ricochet's not a human.
He is
not. That dude is not a human. However, I don't see AJ Styles dropping the U.S. title. I see AJ Styles retaining the U.S. title, but this is going to be arguably probably one of the best matches on the card.
Yeah, no, it probably will be one of the best matches on the card. Ricochet, sadly, for as talented as he is a transitional champion. I think that's what they were using him for at the end of the day. I don't see Styles dropping the title here.
We agree on something. The next match is a singles match. Finn, boring Balor. He's just so boring as Finn Balor, just yawn fest versus The Fiend Bray Wyatt. And I've got The Fiend Bray Wyatt squashing boring ass Finn Balor and probably,
let's hope,
10 seconds mandible claw.
The Fiend
tapping
needs
out
to absolutely demolish Finn Balor here.
Yeah. Finn Balor, listen, if you're not the demon, you're not going to win, okay? So that's why I call him boring ass Finn Balor, because if this were the demon Finn Balor versus the Fiend Bray Wyatt, that would be a little bit...
He should come out as the demon. I mean, if you're going to put the Fiend over, having him be the first victory against the demon is the perfect way to do it. But for some reason, I don't think they will, because they want to protect the demon gimmick, I guess. But
right.
If you're ever going to have the demon lose, this is the perfect way to do it.
And apparently Finn Balor is taking time off, so it makes sense. He leaves. He comes back as the demon, takes on the Fiend Bray Wyatt down the road somewhere, and possibly defeats the Fiend
happen.
Bray Wyatt.
If that happens, then Bray Wyatt automatically gets buried again.
The next match, we got a stipulation on the line. It's Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon. Kevin Owens versus the best in the world, Well, Shane McMahon, the stipulation is if Kevin Owens loses, he will be forced to quit the WWE. So we all know that that's not going to happen. Kevin Owens is going to hit, oh, hell yeah, a stunner on Shane O'Mac and defeat Vince's son.
Yeah, and I'm a big Shane McMahon fan. I think he's one of the best in the business right now. But the stipulation gives it away. Owens is winning.
The next match is for the WWE title. The champion, Kofi Kingston, versus Randy Orton. This is shades of 2009. I go back to when these two had that rivalry, and they've been building it up. The promo package has been great. I just remember Kofi Kingston standing on that NASCAR with Randy Orton's likeliness on it, and then Kofi takes the orange paint and dumps it all over and just starts destroying that NASCAR. I mean, that's what you do in WWE is you destroy automobiles. It's kind of like Vince's MO. A limo gets blown up, a Corvette gets, cement in it. You got milk trucks, you got beer trucks, you got ambulances.
Lesnar can throw doors at fans' heads.
Just any automobile never stands a chance. And that NASCAR didn't either. Now, in this one, I don't see Randy Orton winning. I see Kofi Kingston retaining the WWE title, accomplishing that he is worthy enough as the champ, and he's going to prove to Randy Orton that he does belong on top as the WWE champ. He's going to defeat Randy Orton.
I disagree. I think Randy Orton is going to win the title here.
Really?
With the 3 most deadly letters in all of sports entertainment.
What are they, for those that don't know?
RKO.
That's right. I mean, that would be out of nowhere if that happens. I don't see Randy Orton winning, but if he does, it literally will be out of nowhere. The next match is for the SmackDown Women's title. The champion is Bayley, and she's going up against Ember Moon. Who do you like in this one, Payton?
I hope Ember Moon wins because I'm just not a Bayley fan.
Now, I will say this. I'm very hard, that's what she said, on Bayley to belly. I don't like it. I don't like Bayley to belly. I think it's the weakest finish in all of professional wrestling. But lately, Bayley has been proving to me that she is a worthy champion when she's more serious. And the serious she is, the better she is. So she's going to show how serious she is going up against Ember Moon, who has one of the best finishes in professional wrestling, the Eclipse. I wouldn't mind seeing that, but I think Bayley's going to get out of the way, and I think Bayley will do some sort of maybe elbow drop to win this match and retain the SmackDown Women's title. It's going to lead to Bayley versus Charlotte Flair. I think that's where we're going.
Which we've seen probably like 300,000 times.
Well, the next match is the Raw Women's title, and the champ is the man, Becky Lynch, and she's going up against Canada's own Natalya. The hometown pop, Natalya's going to get it. And Peyton, how crazy would it be if we got a Toronto screw job? Like, Natalya's got Becky Lynch in the sharpshooter. Becky doesn't tap, the bell rings, but yet Natalya becomes the new Raw Women's champion. Like, it's... Do you think we could see that? I mean, it's not going to happen. I mean, I'll tell you what is going to happen is Becky Lynch is going to retain the Raw Women's title, and she's going to leave Canada still the man, the champ.
No, I hope not. I don't like Becky Lynch. I don't like her as champion. The gimmick has run its course, and it's gotten very stale.
You know why? Is because of Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins.
Well, he's like watching paint dry as a face.
You talk about burning it down. Bro, you extinguished it down. You extinguished the flame that Becky Lynch had. Becky Lynch was hot. She was being compared to the female version of Stone Cold Steve Austin. But I still think Becky Lynch walks out of Canada the Raw Women's Champion. That takes us to the main event.
I don't know what you wanted me to say. I disagree. I don't think she should be champion.
The main event here is the Universal Champion Brock Lesnar, and he's going up against Seth Rollins. And Peyton, I don't know about you, but I have been absolutely loving Brock Lesnar destroying Seth Rollins and breaking Seth Rollins down. Seth Rollins is not winning this match.
Let's hope not.
Brock Lesnar will retain, and I hope he absolutely just destroys Seth Rollins again.
I hope he demolishes Seth Rollins. I mean, if Rollins comes out and somehow beats Brock Lesnar, it's going to be one of the most unrealistic storylines in pro wrestling history. There's no way Rollins should have any chance at winning this match.
I agree, and I really hope that we don't get Seth Rollins as the champ. I just don't care for it. I'm not here for it, as the kids say. Well, Payton, guess what? We've reached the end of episode 16 of WellsMania podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in. But before we go, Wrestle with WellsMania. What is going on in Wrestle With This? What is next?
Well, this weekend we do have a brand new WWT showcase where the Continental Championship will be on the line, as Ravishing Anton puts it, up for grabs against the Irish Eradicator, Cormac O'Finnegan.
Where can people watch this match take place?
Wrestle With This on YouTube, or follow us at Smashmouth WWT on Twitter and Instagram, and you can find all the links there.
Payton, thank you so much for being my special guest co-host. Any other things that you would like to pop and plug before we sign off?
Yeah, Jackson Rathbone better watch his back, because I know that Stone Payne is on the hunt. He wants what was stolen from him, and that's that WWT championship.
There you have it. You heard it, Jackson Rathbone. Stone Payne is hunting you down. Ladies and gentlemen, that is officially going to do it for episode 16 of WellsMania podcast on YouTube. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Share with all of your wrestling fans. Follow me on Twitter at WellsMania. I'll follow you back. Tweet at WellsMania. Let me know what you liked about the episode. Let me know what you didn't like about the episode. Like me on Facebook at WellsMania. Follow me on Instagram at WellsMania. A lot of entertaining content all over the social media, and all you got to do is follow at WellsMania. I hope you all enjoy WWE SummerSlam live this Sunday in Toronto, Canada. I hope you all enjoyed my fantasy rebooking of WrestleMania VIII. One day, WrestleMania will return to Indianapolis, Indiana. I truly believe that. Shout out to Chris Haggerty. Thank you for all the questions, bro. You are the real MVP. Until next episode, take care and dominate the day.